Harris actually know what she's doing to her personal reputation by snubbing an ally, a Democratic leader, someone she should be really cozying up to in a political and a ally way, as a presidential way? But instead, let's go to a sorority event. Because why bother meeting the Prime Minister of Israel? Good day, everybody. Hi, how are you? Welcome back to the Rent Network. I'm David Solomon, flying solo for the balance of this week as Stuart is away. This podcast brings you uncensored, unfiltered, and clearly unedited versions. We've talked about a wide range of topics. We are not afraid to dive into the most difficult topics in politics, pop culture, the stuff that really, the news that gets us really, thinking. We love to rattle it a little bit. This is your platform. It's to express your opinions, share your thoughts, experiences, and hear from a variety of perspectives and honest opinions. And again, I stress opinions because we're not a news outlet, although we do our homework to make sure that we get the facts correct, unlike others who just opine and don't bother checking out. So sit back today as I dive into, once again, the wannabe Kamala Harris to be president is desiring to this role. She wants to be president as of January 2025. And she made a decision. She's known for months that Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, is coming to address Congress today, July 24th, in the afternoon. She didn't want to see him. She didn't want to meet him. She didn't want to preside over that. She's against his address to Congress. She did say she'd meet him another time, and maybe she will. And who knows with this crackpot? But what a driving a message. Now, let me put into perspective here, okay? Kamala is not the only one who has decided that, they don't want to hear Netanyahu at the joint session of Congress. The list includes Senators Bernie Sanders, a Jew hater, Dick Durbin from Illinois, Elizabeth Warren from Massachusetts, of course, members of the squad, anti-Semites like Ilhan Omar, haters like Rashida Tlaib, racist, spewers like AOC, among others. JD Vance won't be there. He's on with, he has, unfortunately, he's going on, on the presidential campaign. And, he unfortunately is not going to make it, but is meeting with Netanyahu outside. Now, why am I picking on Kamala Harris? It's because Kamala Harris, as vice president, presides over the Senate. And it is the right thing to do when an ally, an international leader, is addressing both, chambers of Congress, to be there. But this is to show you Kamala Harris's mindset. The word on the street is liberal-minded, is not even strong enough to describe Kamala Harris. Socialist, hard left-leaning, the most extreme left veep in American history. She would love to see socialism. She would love to see even more open borders. She wants to take the Biden policies and the Obama policies on steroids. She's unbelievable. She is, to me, so inept, so incapable of understanding the role of the president. Because here is what you're doing. You're driving a message to American allies that we don't really care about you. Now, Kamala Harris learned nothing from Obama. President Barack Obama, back when he was president for those 2 terms, alienated Egypt, alienated Jordan, alienated Saudi Arabia, amongst other allies. When the Arab Spring kicked in and the Muslim Brotherhood literally had a revolution to take over Egypt, Barack Obama was applauding a terrorist group. Imagine Hamas-like people in Egypt running an entire country. We saw what Hezbollah has done in Lebanon. We see what Hamas is doing in Gaza. And Barack Obama was applauding the revolution in Egypt, calling it an Arab Spring, and people bought into the idea democracy is finally coming in to Egypt, when in reality, it was a terrorist group who wanted to overthrow a government. And here we are again. Imagine what the Middle East allies thought of Obama then. He's not here for me. He's here for himself. He's here to revolution. He is going to tear apart the fabric that made up the Middle East. And he alienated them. Donald Trump tried to bring them back in, showed his angle, the Abraham Accords, how he dealt with Palestinians, and so on and so forth, and the rapprochement that he's had with those countries, whether it's Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, you name it. He rebuilt many of those alliances, only to have Joe Biden nearly destroyed again. Remember when Joe Biden threatened the Saudi family, the Saudi royal family? He threatened them. And then when he went to Saudi Arabia with his hat in hand and he tried to fist bump the Saudi prince, I mean, it was an embarrassment. The United States abandoning Middle East allies. Kamala Harris is about to do the same thing. What message does Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, and the rest of the region feel with Kamala Harris? She's crazy. She has no understanding whatsoever about the world, the way the world's going to work. We thought Obama's international policies were flawed when he tried to cozy up to Iran. It was a failure. Biden's been a disaster. Kamala Harris will make it even worse. Folks, while you were all sleeping and watching all this happen, China brought in the Palestinian Authority, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, to create an alliance for a post-Gaza government. China. Biden administration was worrying about Joe Biden in an election, while China just dove in and grabbed it. Where is the State Department? Where are the presidents and this vice president to wake up and go, whoa, that should be you, not them. You let the Chinese in. What else are you going to do to ruin the Middle East and other parts of the world? You know, I gave this a lot of thought about Kamala Harris, and I asked myself, who is she like? And the only name I could think of recently was Claudine Gay, the former president of Harvard University. Why was Claudine Gay installed as the president of Harvard? DEI. That's right, DEI. It had nothing to do with her credibility, because simply put, when they finally unwrapped the real Claudine Gay, the plagiarist, the liar, the woman who threw Jews under the bus, the woman who believed that Jews do not deserve protection in Harvard campus, who lied to Congress, who joked about, the context, the word, remember that word? Is calling for the death of Jews or the river to the sea anti-Semitism? And the answer was, it depends on the context. She spewed out legal crap. We've ranted about that. Check out our past rants. And sure enough, when the pressure was around and she realized she couldn't do the job and she lost her supporters, she resigned. And what did she do? Claimed racism. That will be Kamala Harris over the next 3 months. Yes, now she has the support of the Democrats. And while Chuck Schumer supported her in this awkward way, and others are throwing their hat behind her, now Nancy Pelosi and others have said, oh, yes, we're rallying around you, clearly forgetting that the democratic process is completely out the window. Imagine Black Lives Matter saying this is wrong. Imagine. But Kamala Harris, at the end of the day, when she loses in November, is going to scream racism. She's going to scream exactly like Claudine Gay. It was unfair. If you think Trump threw a fit after the 2020 election, wait till you hear Kamala's after the 2024 election. It'll be almost Claudine Gay on steroids, because that woman is not presidential at all. It's not even close. Anybody with a teleprompter can stand up there and spew and talk off the cuff. It's amazing. I can do it. You could do it. A little practice. An 8-year-old can be a crazy orator. But off the cuff, make a quick decision, deal with the stress, good luck. This rant, for example, I have no script. It's off the cuff. You could cut me off and challenge me, and I'll still come back to it. And it is a bit of a talent. But Kamala Harris does not have a talent other than to ruin. She's gotten to her positions in ways that once the world will hear more and more, she didn't earn them. Her skin color got her there. DEI got her there. And now, if you think about back in 2020 when she ran against Joe Biden, she insulted him on the stage. She literally ripped him shred to shred. And next thing you know, they're buddy buddy and they're the president. She's the president. She's the VP candidate. Of course, it was all about DEI. It was all about smoke and mirrors. It was about putting a black woman as the VP. It had nothing to do with credibility and qualifications. Qualifications, not qualifications. Qualities and qualifications. Kamala Harris is showing that she cannot handle the international scale, the international decisions, because Benjamin Netanyahu is coming to Congress to scream about Iran. The threat Iran has, not just on the Middle East, but on the world. And she's ignoring it. She won't acknowledge it because her socialist inkling, her belief that Netanyahu is committing genocide, that Jews are wrong, that she refuses to support the Jewish community in the United States, refuses. Even though she's married to a Jewish guy, it doesn't matter. All she wants to do is to support her black and brown friends. It has nothing to do with supporting the Jewish community in Israel. Black and brown, because we have a common goal, a common cause. How wrong could she be? By every time someone brought up anti-Semitism, she brought up Islamophobia. Every time Jews were attacked, she said, yes, but what about the Muslims and the Arabs in our country? Every time a synagogue was attacked, a community center was fired upon, she stayed silent. Her allegiance is clear. She believes in from the river to the sea. She wants a free Palestine. She doesn't want an Israel there. That's clear. And it wouldn't matter if it's Benny Gantz, the left leader, or Netanyahu. She wants to see Israel at her knees. That's Kamala Harris. What the United States presidency has completely forgotten over the last number of decades is how Israel was the beacon in the Middle East fighting against the Soviets. This is a generation that has no recollection of the Cold War, of what the Soviets did, and what we're seeing today with Iran, North Korea, Russia again, China. No one's paying attention. So let me give you a stark reminder of something more recent, Kamala. When President Obama alienated Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu said, okay, if the United States won't be there for me, I'm going to find other allies. And he did. And while it didn't work with Russia and China, as we've seen right now, his allegiance and alliance, with India has turned into something extremely prosperous for both countries. The United States could have been that partner. But Obama alienated Netanyahu and he found somebody else. And despite the world leaders crapping on Netanyahu again and again and again, Israel will rise up again, regardless of who the leader is. And those countries will be coming begging to Israel for the technology, whether it's the cybersecurity, the environmental technology, or other technology that Israel bring to the medical fields and other fields in AI. They're going to become crawling, begging for that help. Kamala, you're going to be left out. The United States government will be left out because you are too left-leaning socialist. You've bought into the narrative that the terrorists have thrown in. You'd rather listen to Hamas than your own ally, who's been there for you since her rebirth. You would prefer siding with, as you call, the brown people, neglecting the fact that 60% of Israelis are not white. They're just Jewish. And if you add the other 2 million Arabs and Druze and Bedouins, what are you saying to Israel? The move by Kamala Harris not to be in Senate today, not to be preside over the Senate, to welcome Netanyahu properly as an ally, as a friend to the United States, is an embarrassment. At least Joe Biden, and I've said this in previous rants, at least Joe Biden, with all my crapping on him, did the right thing. He understands Netanyahu. May not agree with him, didn't do it always right, but since October 7th, most of the time, supported Israel. It's Kamala who's been ruining it. It's Kamala who would like to see Israel destroyed. This is the leader you want in the United States, ladies and gentlemen? Then I wish you the best of luck, because she is a disaster. And when I've heard people say that Kamala is going to eviscerate Donald Trump, she's going to eviscerate the world and the fabric that has held the United States together. Be careful. This is your warning. With that, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today's episode of the Rant Network. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope you've enjoyed this conversation and gained some valuable insight. We're back here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon Eastern. That's when we broadcast. Check us out on therantnetwork.com. All the social channels. Please share us. Tell everybody we're here. Comment. We really appreciate your feedback, and we take it to heart. And until Friday.